and this and this. And so we had like a full budget. My bridesmaids, my sister slaves, they all had like plays made with dildos on the end.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And oh, it's so cool. And so they flew, kink.com flew my mom up. She walked me down the aisle at my gangbang wedding. There was like maybe 100 people there, and it was in the basement of the Armory.
Welcome back to Talking with the Taboo. Today's guest has lived a life most people only dare to fantasize about, and she's done it with unapologetic presence, power, and depth. Amy Hoffman, known to many as Sparky Sin Claire, spent 7 years in the adult industry where she carved out a name for herself as a fearless performer and a boundary explorer. She was nominated for an AVN Award for Best POV Anal Scene, started a film that won Best BDSM Release, and was recognized by X-Critic as one of their top alt performers and breakout stars of 2010. But Amy didn't just act, she immersed. For 6 months, she was a contracted live-in slave at a kink.com, surrendering her body and psyche in ways most can't even imagine, all while staying deeply attuned to her own truth. Now, on the other side of this chapter, Amy is rewriting the narrative. She's currently studying at the Somatic Institute, become a certified relationship coach. So same thing with me. She's a classmate of mine. And she has a mission, okay? And this mission is to help others reclaim the parts of their sexuality that they've lost or discover the desires they always felt but never had permission to explore. This is going to be a real one, okay? And I'm really excited to see what she has to offer because she has been such a multifaceted, sex worker and really literally implemented herself into this work. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how she's able to compartmentalize everything into such a short, episode as well, and just really use what she has to learn to help you guys analyze and help you guys learn what else is out there and what good and bad can come from any situation, but also how to like reclaim who you are from past experiences and things like that. So I'm super excited to see this kind of play out. Also, just an update for my listeners as well. It is the summertime now, so I am vending with my podcast merch and just promoting my business as a whole. I love to have conversations with people at my tabling events. If you are in the Buffalo area on Monday nights, starting at 7 o'clock, usually they're around 6:30, I vend at the Delaware Park Flow Jam event. It's a very hippy dippy event, right? They're spitting fire, spinning hoops, and they have live music and stuff like that. But I also join conversations. I'm right at the bottom of the stairs when you walk down at Delaware Park, Hoyt Lake area. And I'm selling my merch. I'm selling the CLIT MUNICATE shirts and the keychains and the little dicks and the boobs. And you could spin the wheel to win something for free. And you enter to win something as well. So I'm just really trying to get my word out there. And it's really exciting because people actually are coming back. And they're like, oh my God, I remembered you from last year. Oh my God, you were here 2 weeks ago. Like my friend really wanted a shirt, blah, blah, blah. And then they put orders in. And it's really great. But my goal there isn't to make money, right? My goal is to just have conversations and open up that spectrum. And it's been working. On my social media, as you see, I post pictures of interactions that I have, videos, and individuals who also buy my merch or buy items on the table, because I want to show a digital diary like I do on here of the work that I do outside of just this podcast. This podcast is the forum, right? But the vending and the talking and the going out and giving my business cards, everything like that, that is where I thrive. So I'm really excited to see kind of what this year has to offer after vending. I just gotten so many opportunities, meet so many great people around the Buffalo area. And I'm just excited. I think there's just no better word for it. So without further ado, welcome Amy Hoffman, or Sparky Sin Claire. I love you all. And with lots and lots of lube, CLIT MUNICATE. Welcome back to Talking About the Taboo with Natalie Malloy. I have a wonderful guest with me as well. This is Amy Hoffman, or Sparks, as she loves to be called. Hello.
Hello.
Sparks is an amazing woman, and I just heavily appreciate her coming on here today and being open and honest and vulnerable and also excited to do so.
Mhm.
So, you know, you're a very multifaceted, erotic person, right?
Yes.
You bring such an energy to everybody around you. I mean, in, you know, class, like in the Somatica Institute and everything like that, I feel like you just bring such like a great energy. And eroticism doesn't even need to be like sex. It's just that energy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So so say like we're at like a dinner party, right? And someone were to ask you what do you do? How would you excitedly intellectually though introduce what you do and who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, so the honest answer is, that currently I do run my own woodworking, wood finishing, business, and so I transitioned to that from adult performing, so, um, I like to joke that I'm the master of all woods, from, like, sex work to literal woodworking, working with the wood. I've heard all the jokes. I've made all the jokes.
Oh
Um,
my god.
but I and then, even just saying what I currently do, I am now finding myself saying, however, I am transitioning into a different career. And so I'm a certified sex and relationship coach in training.
Yes, we both are. And we're both, I think, figuring out how the fuck we want to take this energy that we have and merge it into a career where it feels like we're never working and we're just helping.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how I've operated most of my life, and I've had the um, a little bit of luck and also the effort in like making my life that way, so that I am always feeling like I haven't had a clock in job for since I was, I don't know, 15 or 16.
Oh
So I'm
my gosh.
pretty lucky in that way.
Absolutely, and thrive in that, you know what I mean? It's very hard to come by to be able to make a living and support your family and yourself with
Mhm.
entrepreneur type mindset.
Self-employment.
But
Yeah.
it's actually better because at least in my world, I work for a corporate company as well. I have like multiple jobs because I have to, but and I just like hate the way they work. And you know, when we're talking about coaching, you know, I work at a agency that is a counseling agency, and I don't even think they're actually like looking to help. I think they're just looking for money.
Mm.
And it sucks because they don't have the mindsets that the Somatica Institute, I talk about it all the time on my podcast, so my viewers definitely know what this is, but um, they don't have the goals, the morality that, you know, you and I have, that our classmates have, that the Institute has, and the mindset.
Mm.
And so yourself, you're kind of merging your lifestyle throughout the experiences that you've had in your past,
Mhm.
which you kind of were discussing. So you had said that you were in adult performing, and then now you are a master of all wood with your woodworking business, which I would love to look into. That's actually really awesome.
Yeah.
How do you think that work has evolved for you over the years? Like, where did you kind of begin getting into adult performing?
So I probably a topic for another podcast, but just and not to like drop a bomb and then divert from it, but the real story is that I was in a cult that I didn't know I was in, and I escaped this cult, but it landed me in, this is when I was like 17, 18, landed me in Montreal, Canada. And
Okay.
I escaped the cult, but I had fallen in love with the city and I wanted to stay. So um, I was looking for, I needed to make money and somehow. And so I was, my mom floated me like a few $100 at the time to like get me through. Like at that time,
Yeah.
you could like rent an apartment for like a room for $300 a
Oh
month.
my
So
God.
I know,
Not anymore.
right? So I mean, imagine. So I have my room for a month. I'm set for now, but like I need to work. So I'm on Craigslist and I see, an ad for like a strip club, like to be a stripper. And I'm like, like I was, I had always really struggled with my sexuality. I never felt sexy. I felt very awkward in my body. I desperately wanted to be sexy. I think I was always like, um, throughout school, I was kind of always like the fat friend or like the
Mm,
whatever. And so I
yeah.
think like a
The
lot.
outside source, the sore thumb and what you had seen. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, so I was like, "Okay, well, if I do this, this will force me to like my livelihood will depend upon me learning how to move my body in a sexy
Yeah,
way that is
absolutely.
appealing to people enough that they're gonna give me their money." And so they emailed back, they were like, "If you wanna work, come now." It was like middle of winter, -30 degrees, trenches of snow. I'm walking to the bus stop to like go to my first like noon Wednesday strip club
Shift.
shift. I'm like going to the Halloween, like, or like not the Halloween, like the costume store. And I'm like getting a schoolgirl skirt and some heels and a bra because I didn't even like own a bra. And
Yeah, all new.
yeah. And I go and they're like, okay, you're going to go on stage and do like an audition. And I had been swing dancing my whole life, so at least I like could keep a beat. Like I
Love
knew how
swing
to move like
dancing.
a little bit, but not like erotically. But I'm like, all right, here's an Audio Slave song, and then I'm like, do an audition. I'm like 19, and they're like, okay, you can work, but like you can only work the day shift. Like I was only good enough for like the noon day, middle of the week day shifts, no weekends, no nights.
Oh, man. I mean, you were a beginner, we all have to learn somewhere and start somewhere. The fact that we were able to just like use this as a platform, literally a platform stage to just
Hey,
like
dude,
practice being in your
they
body.
let me work, so it was fine. I was fine with it. And yeah, so that's how I started in like that's like my first. Well, actually, I had to kind of was dabbling in like some modeling. I'm sure maybe
Ooh,
the people in my generation might have heard of like Suicide Girls and like God's Girls and like those
okay.
websites. So I had already sort of was like trying that out, but
Yeah.
then this was like a different level of that. So I mean, there was a group of porn producers that would go shoot in Montreal once a year from LA, and they happened to go to the strip club that I was working at when for recreation, and that's I met them and was rolling with them for their 2 week long, vacation slash work trip.
Right.
And that's when I ended up shooting my first scene. And then I was like hooked because I was 19. I was like kind of like a crusty little street punk at the time. And I had sex with my first scene was with Joanna Angel and James Dean. Um,
Oh,
and then they gave me like this big check after, and I'm like, what? Like, I can have sex with these two people and then get this fat
and
check after? Like,
bet.
okay, can I do more?
Yes, and that kinda, like, awakened you dipping your toes into multifaceted, different types of porn, you've,
Yeah,
like
I mean, because I was just, I mean, imagine. So I think most of this stemmed from I escaped this cult that I was like in prison. And so that set the
Yeah,
stage for me to live this life afterwards that was like, yes to everything. Like I was
yeah,
in prison and now I want to feel it all. I want to do it all. And like nothing's too weird. And like,
yeah.
and that was like, blessing mostly, and sometimes also,
Yeah.
created trouble, but
I think there's, like, lessons to learn in everything, whether it's good or bad, and, being locked up for so long physically and mentally
yeah,
will drain you, and you will search for anything and everything just to feel not numb, and
yeah, or just that I was denied the opportunity to
freedom.
have what I wanted and do what I wanted, and then
Yeah.
you take that for granted until you experience what it's like to have that taken away. and it's like your soul is being taken away, and then getting it back, you're like, ooh, I'm not going to waste this opportunity anymore.
Right. And so do you feel like you lost a sense of yourself when you were kind of in that cult, and then as you've merged through like stripping and performing and then developing new relationships with people, even outside of the erotic, were able to develop your personality a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was stripped down and I was recreated in this cult to be what
Yeah.
they wanted me to be, and at the end of it, I could hardly recognize myself, so I went through a whole process of basically, like, and now I just know at that point, now I no longer know what is me and what is them. And so I went through a whole de-stripping of myself afterwards to like then rebuild, like, okay, what is the parts that are still me, if there's any, and what are the parts that like now are going to be me, moving forward.
Yeah. So tapping into your erotic energy through stripping and adult performing, what was that like one moment where you like suddenly like regrasp, this is Sparks, this is me, this is Amy?
It took years, and I had like just an absolute ball, like stripping and just I
Yes.
doing some wild stuff. Like
Yes.
I remember like this one time where I'm like, I'm like in the back, I'm giving this guy a lap dance. This has got to be within the first like couple months, and he's like offering me money to like jerk him off, like extra money, and like at this
Mhm.
point, like I'm little baby, Amy is
Yeah, figuring it
like
out.
is like, "Okay, sure." And so you like j or maybe he jerks off on me or I jerk him off,
Mhm.
one of the
Just
2, and
say
then
yes to everything mindset, that's what it's at right now.
he comes on me and he's like, "Welcome to Montreal." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I, like, have this vivid memory of, like, this, like, "Welcome to Montreal," and I'm like, "Okay, like, things are starting." Like,
So
and
welcome, come. Like,
that's
come,
right.
come.
Thank you, sir.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so yeah, so like it was years and years of me, going through this process of like being the first couple years honestly was like it was a ball, and it was also this struggle of like I'm trying to be what I think other people want me to be
Oh,
still. Like
yeah.
how do you guys think, what do you all think is sexy? Okay, I'm going to be that. And so
Mm.
I was still I still was like it was better than where I had been. I was definitely starting to feel into myself and feel like my erotic power, and would have like these breakout moments, but then would also kind of go back into this like trying really, really hard. And then
Mhm.
there was this, so I used to go by Daisy Sparks.
It's cute. I like
Yeah,
that.
and but my nickname was Sparky, and I had been given that nickname by like the first like James Dean, this porn performer Mick Blue, um, and these two zero tolerance directors at the time. But Nate Licker and was one of them. And so, anyways, they named me Sparky, and were calling me Sparky. And for years, I would always introduce myself like, "Oh, I'm Daisy, but everyone calls me Sparky." And because I'm like, Sparky's not sexy. That's not a sexy, porn name, whatever.
Oh, I
Um,
love it.
so then there was a moment, there was a time where I was really not getting booked, and I was getting really down. I was like, started to escort because I wasn't making money in porn, and I wasn't like hot enough to be booked, and I had all these tattoos, and so I was like really getting upset and down. And I was like, I had this realization, like, you know what? If I'm getting upset that people aren't paying me to have sex for money, then I have bigger problems to like bigger fish to fry kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
I was like kind of tired at that point. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, no longer Daisy Sparks. My name is Sparky. Everyone calls me Sparky. That's how Sparky Sin Claire got born.
Agency right there.
Yeah, and like I'm just gonna be me now. Like I'm just like I don't I'm tired of trying to be what people think is sexy, and it's not working. So
Yeah.
at that moment, things really shifted, and they shifted so fast. And that's when I was like started to get booked a lot and started to like really make a name for myself. And during a time where tattooed women were not getting booked in porn films. And I did that mostly all myself without an agent, and started
Oh,
getting
yeah.
nominated for awards. And so that was a really cool moment for me. And I would say that was like, I think I did my first scene in 2008, I want to say. And then it was like 2010 so like 2 years later, 2010, that things like really, so it was like a
Skyrocketed.
couple of years. And then I was like, oh, like at that moment, I felt like I have arrived. But then, of course, there's many things that like,
Followed.
yeah, like I got pregnant and gained 75 pounds, and didn't recognize my body. And then I was like, gave birth, and then I'm like, who am I? Like, I have no fucking clue anymore. So again, years long
Yeah.
journey back to finding myself again into,
Constantly
you know,
rediscovering.
yeah. So it's like, I just say that to mean that like I had my sexual revolution at that time, and I have continued to go through sexual revolutions in my lifetime, and
Yeah.
I expect I'll have many more.
Absolutely. And then like within the coaching, you're getting into this realm of like a different type of career base. And now you're able to use your experience as like a peer basically to be like, I have been through this and this and this, and you're looking for advice in this. Let me help you and kind of give you some guidance
Yeah,
within.
and I feel like uniquely positioned to um like I have all these wealth of experiences,
Absolutely.
and that, that if I was not in porn, probably wouldn't have. Um, I don't want to say I don't know if that, maybe
Right.
not, but
You will never know.
it served up. I mean, for instance, like I did DPs, which I love in porn, but getting a DP outside of porn has been
Very hard.
so challenging, and I'm still searching
Yeah.
for my DP outside of porn.
I
So
feel
it's
like
hard to, some of those experiences are just, it's just,
hmm,
it can
is
be more challenging to find outside of like a professional and paid environment. That's like, here,
yeah.
you're gonna have this like gangbang, or you're gonna have this thing that we've curated. Everyone's getting paid. It's all,
Yeah,
so
it's like created for you, it's produced for you, and, like, you're kind of the
yeah.
the actor. You had talked about, like, you having tattoos, and at the time they weren't booking you because, like, you had tattoos. What was that like? Because I kinda that's who you are, like, your tattoos are, like, an expression of who you are, and they took it as, like, "Oh, we don't want who you are."
Yeah, so I didn't take it super personally, because I just knew that this is the industry, and whatever they're booking is based off of what kinds of things are getting, consumed. So
Yeah,
if that's not, tattooed girls right now, or tattooed women, then, you know, that's okay. It is what it is. And I was really happy to like, I wasn't necessarily trying to make it I wasn't trying to be a career porn star. I was
mhm,
really just trying to like make enough money so that I only had to work a day or two a month, and then I could travel and I could be off adventuring and do it, like going
yes,
crazy. And like, I wasn't trying to like, I mean, if I had the financial, like, uh, information, knowledge, education that I have today, like I could have had a sweet savings account if I, but like,
yeah, it's true.
but like I had a lot of fun, and it was just really a means for me to support myself during a time
Mhm,
where, like, at post cult, I was
mhm,
unable to be like a regular, consistent, responsible, clock into a job. Like I
right.
was like all over the place, and wouldn't have been capable of like supporting myself like normally. So this was a way for me to do that,
Oh,
and also a way for me to like do that while being like it paying for me to explore my sexuality and like find myself in that way. Because I was like a nerd in school, head in my books. My friends, like, I would stay in at lunch and read, and the friends would be like, oh, she's such a snob. Like, she doesn't even want to hang out with us. She's just inside reading. And so, and I would put people, like, I would say, oh, like she's so sexy and popular, but like I'm smarter, like that's how I took my
Mm.
power back in my mind, was like, okay, if I can't be sexy, then I'm gonna be fucking smart.
Oh,
And
yeah. Well, sexy and intelligence is actually extremely sexy.
right, but to
It's
like my,
but
13,
to your 13 year
14,
old.
15-year-old self, I'm just like trying to whatever, have some power and or feel empowered with
Mhm.
my reality, whatever that is. And and then eventually I got to this place where I was like, you know what? I can like denounce people for being sexy, and I could be like, oh, well, they're just shallow. So I was like on my intellectual high horse looking down at people for embracing their sexuality. And then I realized, if I even ever want to like, not that enlightenment is my goal in this lifetime at all. It's not. I'm really enjoying non-enlightenment things, and um,
That's such an honest answer.
like I'm having a lot of fun. I want to be attached to stuff right now, and
Right. No attachment.
um, and but I just realized, like, if I, a better way to like master myself will be to like not denounce this lower level part of myself, but like let's master and embrace that, and then I'll have both, and that'll be pretty cool. So
Powerful.
yeah.
It's powerful. It is powerful. So, within so many different types of multifaceted mindsets, environments, experiences, if somebody were to be wanting to get into, sex work and stripping and performing, what are like the negatives that came with that? Because I think a lot of people, it can be exciting, it can be beautiful, but there's the inner monologue that's just like, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. What are those scared things that they would be to look out for?
So I so with like the scared things, are you talking about like any like fears that come up with doing sex? So I I really didn't have much of that. I was very much like just
Wow.
so freaking excited to be
Right.
in, but the like
Like, what went wrong? Did anything go
but if I
wrong?
could talk
Yeah.
about negatives, I think in the beginning, because I was doing it myself, largely without the help of an agent. I did have an agent for a small time of it, but um, I had to make mistakes on my own and learn how to navigate things on my own, which meant working for productions that were not,
Yeah.
as safe, or that were more seedy and more like kind of like, not like as professional. I definitely got underpaid so many times because I just had
Ugh.
no clue of like what my value was and how to ask for that. And also, probably got taken advantage of in those ways where they're like, this person's like tattooed, they're just excited to get work, like, we can pay her whatever. And
Yeah.
in my mind, because like I have a very jacked up view of what is like a lot of money, and what, like, like for what seems like not a lot of money for other people, to me, like
Millions.
would be a lot of money. So like so I would just be like, yeah, but then while another person would be like, oh my God, like, which she took
Yeah,
that
no.
late
Oh,
for, um
word.
so I think like that was frustrating. But those things, I like moved through them,
Mhm.
and those things stopped happening. I think
Feast.
the negative things that I have felt have been, and I think for something for anyone who to consider who wants to get into any kind of an adult work, especially ones that like with porn, or like especially where there's something on the internet that will never be
Mhm.
removed,
Yeah.
is that it is on the internet forever. So I've had that negatively impact me in ways that I could have never, ever imagined. Mostly only in my current partnership, who you know, he went through an incredibly volatile divorce with custody battle stuff. We each have an 11-year-old kid with a different partner, and this ex just found everything about me online, looked all my videos up, looked all my, you know, interviews of me where I'm talking about mental health and escaping a cult and getting gang banged and like all this
Yeah,
stuff,
wow,
where
yeah.
I'm like very proud of that stuff
Yeah.
actually, and I'm proud of like the life that I've led. And but for her and for the court, that was like enough for like I am still not legally allowed to see my partner's kid by himself. Like the court's never
Oh,
met me. The ex-wife has hardly had more than like a 2-sentence conversation with me. They haven't met my daughter, who's happy, healthy, thriving,
oh,
emotionally like thriving. But
yeah.
you know, they just see like what's online, and just, you know, even though what I was doing was like legal and, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. So it's just, you know, that like I could have never, you know, 10, 15 years ago would have never been like, oh, I'm going to have a partner that's going to go through a divorce where this
You
stuff is
can't predict that
to
stuff.
weaponize, you know, you and me. And so so that's been like the most negative thing really that I had, that I could say like has affected me. But also, you know, I wouldn't change, it's not like that like I would
Yeah,
change that, you know.
right. You know, and it's not it was honestly you took power in your past and you are proud of it and you were doing interviews for it, being open about it, and other
Mhm.
people, and that is why I have this podcast because people just don't talk about it.
Well, they like
And
exploit, I felt like my vulnerability was being exploited,
yeah,
and that was really shitty. But I also don't I don't regret being vulnerable. And like,
absolutely.
yeah, like it, that's,
That's
you
who
know,
you are.
that's who I am. That's who I
And
am.
you could easily have swallowed it and hid it and never have been open about it and just not talked about the taboo, but, like,
Mhm.
you wanted to. You wanted to be proud of your exploration and where you
Yeah.
came from, and, if his ex-wife decided to do that, I feel like that was not within your power, your control, and you know who you are, and your current partner knows who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can thank, honestly, I can thank my mom, who in 3 days will be her 3-year death anniversary. But I can thank my mom for like my lack of
Mm.
shame and my
Yeah.
ability to be vulnerable, and my she was my cheerleader throughout my whole life, especially in
Oh.
porn. Even she was actually a part of one of my porn shoots one time,
I
and
love
like,
this openness.
oh
Oh,
my
this
gosh, like check this
makes
out, this
my
is
heart
so
melt.
great. And such like 3 days prior, like a beautiful way to like think about her and remember her. So I was a contracted slave for kink.com, and I was
Mhm.
leaving the I was getting tired of being in service
Right.
60 hours a week for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they were like, well, but all the fans, like, what are we going to tell them? Like, you're a part of the dream team. I was like, there was the head slave and there was me right underneath, like number
Oh,
one B team,
wow.
we would call me. And so we were like the power team, and they were like, no, like you're leaving. And I'm like, I'm
I can't do
tired.
this.
So
Yeah,
I was like, I know, for my last shoot, let's have like a gangbang wedding. And
I
like
love
you're
this.
gonna all right, you're gonna decall, because my master JP the Pope for kink, he was, we would call him daddy. And like, okay, like what would you like for your wedding? And I'm like, I would like you know, like this, and like a gangbang and this and this. And so we had like a full budget. My bridesmaids, like my sister slaves, they all had like
Mhm.
A's made with dildos on the end.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
amazing.
oh, it's so cool. And so they flew, kink.com flew my mom up. She walked me down the aisle at my gangbang wedding. There was like
I
maybe a
love it.
hundred people there, and it was in the basement of the armory. And you know, so she like passed me out, and my mom, she's like, she looks like Mrs. She looks like Mrs. Claus, like, you know, just this like and and you know, she didn't watch me get gangbanged, but she was like, she went to the bar, she went and got a drink. She could
Yeah.
hear stuff. She wasn't like
Right.
watching, but it was, you know, it was around. But like we did this interview beforehand that where we talked about like unconditional love from a parent, and that, you
Mm.
know, porn wasn't the life that she would have chosen for me, but as if that's what I was choosing and I was happy and healthy, then she, you know, she was supportive, and she wanted people to know that like even if you're in porn, like you can have parents who unconditionally love and support and
Yeah.
accept you. And so it's
Wow.
really beautiful.
What was her name?
Jewel.
Oh, what a jewel. That's
I know.
amazing.
I'm Jewel.
I'm sitting with that because that is like actually the beautiful story and how to bring such power and like your mom was just a effortless deshamifier. It
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. It kind of gives me a little teary eyed. It's just to be fucking accepted that much by somebody. That is a beautiful thing. What a legacy too to
Yeah.
leave behind.
Yeah, and I think she's the reason why I am transitioning into this coaching, sex and relationship coaching space, because she gave me that gift, and I have been able to give that gift to other people. And now I feel like I can give that gift to like so many more people.
This is amazing. Wow, that's definitely gonna sit with me in my mind, how supportive she was.
Yeah, just like
Wow.
unbelievably. Like like there's more stories. I won't take up the whole. We could do a whole podcast on crazy
Yeah,
shit my mom
on Jules.
did.
Oh, that is just wow. Wow. You guessed it. It's time for the sex toy of the week. This one's for those of you who love a little rhythm with your romance and aren't afraid to take pleasure into your own hands, which I know that if you're watching this podcast, you have no problem doing. We're going to keep sipping on all the juicy topics that make life a little more interesting today by sharing this lovely sex enhancing beverage. So I tried something new. It's a sex enhancing drink called Cloud 9, and let me tell you, the name's it's not far off at all. It's designed to boost arousal and heighten sensitivity. And yes, your girl put it to the test last night. It's marketed as a natural way to boost arousal, energy, and connection. And I had to give it a try. It's in the name of research, of course. So, first impression on this drink. I went for the berry flavor and it gave like a pregame cocktail type energy. It's fruity, smooth, and there's no weird aftertaste. Definitely tastes a little bit different than an energy drink would, but I would still put it with that. It's totally something you could sip solo or like mix into like a mocktail of any sort. So within about like 30 to 45 minutes in, I definitely started feeling warm and a glowy vibe. Not really sure if that's like placebo. But it's definitely under that energy drink. It's a slow burn kind of arousal though. My body felt alive. It felt a little like extra, oof. And it's definitely changed my mentality. It's definitely a perfect drink to get you out of your head and into your body. And it's great alone, but it's also probably best with a partner. We both drink it half and half. I got it actually from Spencer's. This drink was $9. Definitely a pricier drink. So if you're curious about adding something playful and natural to your foreplay routine, foreplay still exists, y'all, and you just want to feel yourself, feel a little bit deeper in your body, I definitely say give Cloud 9 a try. I would give it a solid 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think that this drink, like I said, might just be a placebo effect. But hey, if the placebo works, then the placebo works. It has 9 elements in it, and one of which includes B vitamins. So, I mean, energy, there's also caffeine in it. So, I mean, if this works, it works. So, within that support, you were able to just move forward and get out of you were just kind of tired of working that long, being, a kink and slave and working within those different types of dynamics. So, you merged into a different lifestyle. And in the introduction, you had talked about being a part of Daddy Little Girl and that power exchange. So how has that played out currently right now in your relationship dynamics?
Yeah, so you know, like it's been so beautiful and so healthy. And, you know, I've had this, you know, fantasy like this, um, or this like content, this like daddy little girl taboo thing has been something that's been with me since I can remember, like a
Yeah.
small child, like since I can. So growing up, I felt like I don't know where that comes from, but it's always been a part of me since I can remember. And I don't know how to separate my identity from that. Like,
Yeah.
and it just, you know, it's probably not coincidental that also I feel very childlike in a lot of ways. And so, and even my partner, you know, and we've been together 6 years now, like he really says like all the time, like I'll say something and he'll be like, "Oh my God, you are, yeah, you are such like not in a bad way, like such a child.
Yeah.
Like you are like you're such a little girl. Like
Free spirited.
the things that you say, it's like, yeah, I can see why you identify with being like in my mind, like my age is like 6. Like my inner child age is kind of always stuck on like 6 to 7 years old. And so how that looks like in our lives is like there's two parts of it. There's the like 24/7 he is my daddy, um but like there's the sex part of it.
Mhm.
That's its own thing, and then there's the like outside of sex part. So the outside of sex part is that like the relationship of having like this unconditionally loving, supportive, patient, nurturing male presence in my life where like
Mhm.
I take care of myself and my own life. Like he's not taking care of my financial needs or like, you know, clean. Like I fully function as an adult,
Yeah.
but with within our relationship, um, there's just this energy where like, you know, I can sort of relax into those things, like being maybe sometimes being a little bit more needy or being a
Yeah.
little bit more um letting my inner child come out more and then having all of that those parts of myself loved and nurtured and supported and just like, you know, like if I'm having a bad day, like come like bring it into daddy, like come here, like I got you. And
Oh,
just,
love that.
you know, it's yeah, it's been so healing for my heart and my soul. Um and you know those wounds that obviously, you know, now we're learning, like it's
Yeah.
the funniest thing too,
Yep.
because I spent my whole life being like I don't have daddy issues because if I told people that I was like into this, you know, people would be like, oh, that's gross and you want to fuck your dad and like, you know,
Not
and
what
I'm
it
like,
means. Ugh.
"Why?" And I'm like, No, I really don't want to have sex with my dad." um um he's passed also anyways, so that wouldn't be possible. But like it's not at all about my dad. It's really, you know, and and I didn't like that stigma of like
Mhm.
daddy issues, you know. So I'm like, no, I don't have daddy issues. This is just what I like. This is who I am.
Mhm.
And then I was reading, you know, Coming Together by
Yep.
Celeste and Danielle, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm so basic. I completely have daddy issues. Like that's like a duh, like like hello. So
It's funny because 'cause we're able to tap into, like, what core desires actually mean and not, like, fulfill
right,
somebody else's, like,
yeah,
mindset according to, like, "Oh, you like this, or you have this problem, blah, blah, blah." It's more so like, "Okay, yeah, I do have this problem, but you're taking it in a negative way, I'm taking it in a transformative
right.
way."
So like exactly, like I wouldn't even say problem, you know, like I like what a cool like silver lining is like this
Yes.
kind of relationship style, like liking this kind of taboo is so much fucking fun.
Hell yeah, it is, and
So,
it's
like,
so
cool. Like, okay, it could have been much more challenging if I had a different kind of taboo that was like, you know, like the example that we heard of that anyone can read about in the book about the person that like wants to be that like can people who are enjoy cannibalism or like fantasizing about cannibalism, right? And
Mhm,
like it completely makes sense. Like if you were not
mhm.
touched as a child, that you would want to be devoured in sex and sexual relationships. That's how you would like heal that wound. But like I'm glad that I got the daddy issues, like because it yeah, it's just
Yeah, well,
I
there
had it
see? Celebrating what other people would consider negative into
right.
something
And then, like,
powerful.
owning it, right,
Yeah,
and taking that with agency, so,
absolutely.
so and then in our sex life, like, man, it's just, like, lots of role play, lots of, like, just all of the stuff, so in sex, it's definitely taboo. Outside of sex, it's not taboo, but it's just this really, like, nurturing, unconditionally loving and supporting and, like, patient relationship with
Which
this
makes
caregiver, but partner because we care give for each other.
and I'm really happy that, like, I have you on talking about this because a lot of individuals, when I bring up, like, they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like, they're in the I'm like, "Yeah, like, just wait, because you'll be able to understand what it means outside of the bedroom." Automatically, their brains, when I go to power dynamic, they go to sexually, they go to issues, and it's the outside sources that aren't on the same level as you and I.
Mhm,
And you're being able to explain it in a more caring, nature,
mhm,
nurture versus nature type of thing. You're able
mhm,
to show that there is positives of it. It's not weird. It's not
mhm,
incest. It's not
mhm.
all of
I
these
mean, and
stupid
in sex, it is for me,
it
it's not actual incest, but,
right.
in sex, that
It's
for me is the turn on. That's like the
it feels good. Yes.
right, but, I just know it's, like, naughty and it's innocent. It's like, it's the
Yes.
like
It's a push and pull.
yeah, and
I love that.
the contrast of, like, 2 very polarizing things at the same
Yes.
time, so but, like, and what my daddy little girl relationship looks like is different from,
Mhm.
what others look like, so this is, like, just mine, but, like, I
Yeah.
wanna also normalize, like, all of the ways that people express that desire for themselves or that fantasy or whatever that it could look
Yeah.
like, very many different things.
Personally, I don't have it emotionally, but I have it sexually. So I do the foreplay with the incest, and sometimes we do like it's not even if it's not just like daddy little girl, it's stepbrother, stepsister,
Mhm.
the incest thing as well really sparks a plug in my brain here, and I'm just like, that feels really good. It feels really bad. I love being naughty. So I'm loving to see how you play it out emotionally as
Mm.
well. But like, how do you navigate that in a long-term relationship? You both have kids, you're both
Mhm.
parents. How are
Mhm.
you able to get to that? These aren't child appropriate topics, but we're still living in that long-term relationship kink base.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm super blessed with that my family well, I mean, I've just always been so open, like, to a fault and, like, unabashedly myself, and so,
Yeah.
like, for instance, when I was in a fidelity triad with a man well, triad, no, it would have been like a quad. It was 4
Glad.
quad.
Glad. I love it.
Um, so it was a man and 2 other women, and they came to meet my parents, and my dad was like, "Oh, you and your friends," and I'm like, "No, dad," like my poor dad. I'm like, or maybe my lucky dad. I don't know. I was like, "No, dad. They're my boyfriend and my 2 girlfriends, like
Mhm.
not my friends, my boyfriend and my 2 girlfriends." So like always had an incredibly challenging time separating parts of myself and like making myself appropriate for whatever
Mm.
space I'm in can be I'm good. I'm all right at it. Like I'm really good about like I don't lie, but like I'll find like the right way to say if it gets into like what have you done in the past or what was things like that where
Right.
I'll try to I'll like do a quick brief sentence of like blah 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 in the most like appropriate way possible.
Like basic,
Um,
like
like
no
cups
details.
for money, no, like
Yeah.
so yeah, so like that has been really a challenge. So so with my family, they all know that I call my partner daddy.
Mhm.
And my older sister, she and her partner are they live in a dom sub lifestyle and kink, so they're like
Very
total,
nice.
so we're like we can talk about everything with
Oh,
them,
how freeing is that? That's amazing.
which is really amazing. And neither my older sister and I, we don't all of our she's my half sister, all of our parents are passed, so like we are the family. So I don't
Yeah.
have like parents that are like, oh, what are you doing? It's like her and me
Mhm.
and and then my twin sister who I can tell everything to as well. So that's cool. But then with my daughter, I'm with my partner a lot, and it's hard to it's weird to call him by his first name because it's always daddy. So when she was smaller, it was I would call him daddy in front of her, and she would, we had a conversation about it where I was like, hey, this is just like my pet nickname for, how some people call you like baby or sweetie or
Yeah.
sugar bug or whatever. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is this is my sweet nickname for him. And that just means that, it's, and I explained it to her in that way of like, he's
Yeah.
very caring and unconditionally loving and supportive and like all these things that, like that you feel about your dad. Like, so that's like my little, without getting into
The
like
depths of
I
it,
pretend
really.
he's my, not my dad, but like but my dad, like
Mhm.
um, in the bedroom. Like that's, but as she's gotten older and she's begun to understand, like, oh, there's like,
Curiosity.
well, and just kids these days are so exposed by social media.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
my daughter's not on social media, but like she watches YouTube. I have like a quick ish story that I think you will find interesting, relating to like how we are dealing with our children and what happens when we find them masturbating for the first time, or like
Ooh,
how,
yeah.
right? So um which I actually haven't ever like caught is even a bad word, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Like walked in on, or whatever.
Mhm.
um I have, but what I did do was she was at school, and she has like two shitty old iPhones in rotation that don't have service, but she uses it, for iMessage and whatever.
Mhm.
So I saw she had left it out on her desk, and I was like, just being like, oh, good mom, like, oh, I'm gonna be sweet and plug it in for her, so that when she gets back, like, she can, it's not dead, and she can, hop on and chat with her friends. And um, when I went to look on her phone, there was an app up, and it was like an app that I knew she had, but I didn't know. This is like another lesson of like, it's she can they can explain what they're downloading, but like also then be like, oh yeah, that sounds fine, but then also go look and make sure like what it,
What
so it was
exactly
just
is
like,
that?
it was this like AI chat bot that, to me, she had said like, oh, she's really into anime, I can go like um chat with an AI character that's like of these characters from anime series that I watch, and they like uh like Avatar and stuff like that, and I can chat with these like, with Aang and whatever.
Hmm,
I'm like, okay, cool.
yeah.
um well, what I didn't know was that if you put you can put an age setting, and if you put it to 18 plus, then you're getting like sex bots that are chatting, like
Oh.
sexting with you. and
Mm.
and they this that the sex AI bots, they're thinking they're chatting with an adult, so the content that they're bringing is like,
Oh, boy.
holy shit. I had like a crisis moment where
Crashed out.
I was like crying. I was like,
Oh,
oh, because basically like my innocent girl now knows
yeah.
everything from this chatbot,
But,
like
uh,
more than she should know at her age. So
yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck am I going to deal with this? And I take like a video of like the content, because
Mhm.
I'm going to delete this off of her phone, and I need to be able to like reference back to what I'm seeing if however I decide to handle it with her dad,
Yeah.
whatever. So she had her other phone, her older phone at school with her, I guess. And so I went to go send it to like, cause I was called her dad. I went to go send it to her dad to like show him and I
Mhm.
accidentally send it to her.
Oh
And
god.
oh, dude, and now I'm really fucking freaking out. Like,
Oh, no. She's
I'm
at
like,
school. Oh
I'm
god.
calling with my partner. I'm like, fuck, I just sent it to her. I'm going to school. I'm going to pick her up before she can look at her phone because she's going to be freaking out.
Boy.
Like, oh my God, my mom found this. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
ashamed. And like,
Oh, and in trouble.
and
She thinks she's
so,
in trouble and
and
stuff.
I wasn't like mad at her. I was just like,
Mhm.
how do we handle this? Because
Yeah.
so
That's amazing that you reacted that way too.
oh my God. So, well, because I don't want to traumatize her from sex. I don't want to make her
Yes.
feel. So I'm like,
Ashamed
what?
of it.
So yeah. So I'm like, how do we deal with this? Is this like, oh, you're in trouble. This is bad. No, sex isn't bad. So
Mhm.
what is bad? That you lied about your age and you were doing something that is like age inappropriate. That's what you did
Yeah.
wrong. But the sex stuff, that's not bad.
Right.
And it's not bad when it's age appropriate. So I like get in my car and all of a sudden, and she shouldn't be on her phone at school anyway. So I'm like, I don't know why, but she got the text because I tried to
Uh,
do the unsend thing. You know how iPhone like
yep,
changes.
and then you can't
Well,
unsend it once it's
not on old phones. It doesn't unsend from old phones.
Oh,
So
no.
she's like, "Oh my gosh, mom, I'm so so sorry. You can take my phone away. You can ground me. I'm so so sorry." And I was like,
Oh.
"Babe, okay." I was like, "Don't worry. I'm not mad. You're not in trouble. I'm on my way. I'm going to come pick you up and we're going to talk about this." So I go to school.
Oh,
I go to
she's
her
probably so
school
scared.
and I'm just like, how am I going to deal with like how am I going to do this logistically? Like, am I going to drive her all the way home? We can't talk about it in the car because then I can't like look at her. So we're gonna have to be quiet the whole way, and that's going to be painful for both of us. So I pick her up. She gets in the car, and I'm like, hey, let's just sit and talk for a second. And
Mhm.
and then that's basically what I tell her. I was like, hey, like so I saw obviously you saw I saw all this stuff, and I was like that you know I get that you're curious. Honestly, I did the same thing when I was your age. I was reading stuff and finding stuff but here's what like well one, you lied about your age. That is not okay. What we're going to do like we're going to take that off your phone and go through and make sure everything else and um I want you to keep exploring this stuff, but because you're 11, when you're chatting with these AI bots, they're putting images in your head that are not coming from you. They're coming from
Right,
somebody else thinks they're talking to an adult. So
right.
I want you like, hey, like if you want to like explore and touch yourself and all of that stuff, I still want you to do that. I totally support that. And and you just need to be doing that while creating images from your own mind. Like that stuff needs
Mhm.
to just come from yourself and your own like exploration of what without being like fed stuff stuff that you may or may not
Yeah, you don't
really
wanna
need.
internalize something
Yeah.
else.
And gosh, I had to tell you, like, she was so fucking grateful that,
Mm.
like, instead of like, she thought she was going to be like just
Mad in trouble, like, really
grounded,
grounded and
mad in trouble. And for me to hug her and be like, hey, it's cool. I get it.
wow.
And like, this is what's appropriate for your age, sex isn't bad. And so I feel like ooh, like
That moment is going to be a very, very important moment for the rest of her life. Mhm.
and like she knows. She knows we've from a very early age. She's already known anatomy things. She knows she has a vagina. I have a video of her maybe when she was like 3 where we're talking about it, and she's like, we're having this conversation of, you know,
Amazing.
you have a vagina, and she's like, dad doesn't have a vagina, and I'm like, no, he has a penis, and she's like, yeah, and like is blah blah blah. And then she's playing with unicorns and she's like, well, my unicorn has a vagina because she's a girl and she's not gonna have a penis, she's like, so it was like, so we've talked very early, and
Yeah.
any questions she's ever had, for the most part, I've answered. And there's been maybe once or twice where I was like, can we revisit that in like 3, 4 years or something? And
Mhm.
she would answer, Mom, you pretty much tell me everything. So if you're saying that I need to wait, then I trust you and we can
That's
have this.
amazing.
Dude, I'm like, oh my thing.
Wow.
Thank
The
you. Thank
the
you.
mindset's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Raised such a,
Yeah.
like, well-spoken and willing to be educated girl, like, kid. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, so I don't call now I'm a little bit more like, okay, I don't call him daddy so much now. I'm just call like because I can like separate that and I don't want her to constantly like sexualize our
Yeah.
relate. It's like she's too old now
Yeah.
to not sexualize that word in that way with somebody who's not my dad. So now I'm like, okay, well, the damage has been done. She already knows he's in my phone as dad, but like she already knows it, but then I don't have to like re-expose her constantly to like
Yeah.
to that. So I'm working with it, I'm, like, working with my own things where I'm, like, have to be, like, myself, but then how to
Mhm.
do that with my kid, and,
Yeah.
she knows that there's things in my past that I've done because there's, like, big blanks of, like, "Well, what did you do for this before woodworking?"
Right, the blank
And
spaces that she's trying to fill in her own mind.
and those are times where I'm like, That's like a conversation we can have later." Although we actually did just have because she knows what a stripper is, and we were in the pool with her and her friend, um, and her friend has a similar upbringing, like with a mom who's incredibly open and like maybe even she might her kid might know even more than my own kid, which
Oh,
means
wow.
that at least I'm not gonna get a
Some
phone
of the
call
education, yeah.
like, at least I'm not gonna be in trouble for overexposing, so that's
Yeah.
makes me feel comfortable and good,
Right.
actually.
What a great friend she has, though. How'd she find her? That's
Best
great.
best friend. Oh, so
Oh,
good.
wow.
And yeah, so she overheard my twin sister and I in the pool, and my twin sister, she had said the word stripper, and we were talking, and that we thought the girl, they heard, and they came over, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Oh.
like, what do you how do you" I was like, "Oh, like, do you know what that is?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, how do you know what that is? Like, where'd you hear it?" And she's like, "Yeah, like kids at school, like whatever,
Yeah.
that's
Again, exposed
I'm
to it.
sure." And so I'm like, "Okay." So I kind of like felt like, okay, maybe this is like an opportunity to be like, like, cause she knows I pole dance but she's like, "You kind of do that." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, but like pole dancing at my studio, it's very different than stripping."
Yes.
But I was like, like I just planted that first little seed of like, that I used to do that actually. And she was like, "Oh, okay, you know,
Wow. The
cool."
response is
And
amazing.
then
Yeah.
and she was like, "All right." And you could tell like she's not even thinking about it anymore. She's like, "All right, got it." And she's just used to, but it's me like sort of planting that seed for when eventually we'll have that conversation that I did adult films, because the conversation there is, and I still don't really know when is appropriate. Maybe I don't know. In my mind, I'm like maybe 16 or something. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
Like I knew about porn like since I was a child. Like I found Playboys and was like
Mhm.
masturbating to them as like 6, 7 years old. But that's a conversation, like, because I have a lot of stuff out there, and what's old for me is going to be brand new to that 18-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever, that's going and starting to look up porn. They might find it like it was recorded
Yep.
yesterday, and they,
Yep.
what happens when someone, and I have very distinctive, things like, wow, that
Mhm. Tattoos
how
and
many times I've been told that looks so familiar, you know? Yeah. Or people just straight up being like, "Oh, I know that tattoo." And,
Like, "Oh, hey there, it's
right?
Sparks."
If you know, you know. So at some point, like, do I wait until a friend tells her, "Ooh, I saw your mom on the internet," or do I say like, "Hey, this is something that I did, and, like, this is, I want to be open with you," and when do I have that conversation? And I'm
Yeah, like
still figuring that out, but, it's a conversation I will have with her because I'm also like really congruent with that. I did that and don't feel like it's bad and, like something that I have to keep a secret from her all the time. And
yeah.
for her whole life or whatever. Imagine I pass and she like finds my
Finds
whole
it
box
all.
of DVDs, like what? Like my whole life
What
is a
is going
lie.
on? Yeah, and you know what? It's awesome that you recognize that sex ed is building blocks, and you're just kind of phasing out what the best time is. It's different for everybody. You know, you went through anatomy, you know that you had a lifestyle in the past that kids are little investigators. They will find it or other people will find it, and
Mhm.
you're kind of giving her her own power in finding that out, but also if she asks the question, you're answering it age appropriately,
Yeah.
and you're doing everything that you can. This is your first time living life too, right?
And my
Like,
first time for my first and only child too.
yeah,
So
so it's like
yeah.
you're figuring it out. And
Yeah.
so, but then there's those fucking outside sources, okay? And then there are the people who say, you know, you can't be a good parent if you're in a kink world. And I really want
Mhm.
to know like what you would respond to somebody who judges you as a
Mhm.
parent for having a past in kink, but having a beautiful 11-year-old girl who is well educated. What would you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, like, what I would say is that, like, I I am my aim is to be the best mirror for my daughter as possible, and so the best way like, what is important my values are showing her what it's like to live, um, it could be conventionally or unconventionally, but, um, what it's what it looks like to live my life from a place of my choices and doing things that are important and healthy for me and in whatever way that looks like and that um and how to do that in the face of adversity. So I have always felt like people who are like, well, what's going to happen if if a kid if one of her friends finds out that you did porn or finds out that you do this thing or whatever, and I'm like, that's only going to give us the opportunity then to like talk about you know like living a life from a place of your own personal power and making choices that are healthy and good and unique to yourself and um living these ways like so my aim with her has been to destigmatize. She
Absolutely.
her dad, who is one of my best friends, and we're not together, but we are like we're best friends for life
Mhm.
and co-parents, and he has an immense passion for drag, and she grew up on RuPaul's Drag Race, and and drag. We take her to kid-friendly drag shows,
Mhm.
um, and we've always, there was a time where I was dating a woman at the same time that I was with my current partner for about a year, and she knew like that's my girlfriend, and that's my boyfriend, and
It's like
it was
normalizing that.
normalizing, destigmatizing, because these things that we're like saying we need to shield our kids from, I think are maybe not actually things that we need to shield our kids from, because
Mhm.
like the surfacey things may seem like weird or taboo or like fetish or kink, like all these words that like have this stigma when you're talking about like children.
Mhm.
And when we like destigmatize how we love and normalize how we love, that to me is taking all of the power out of the negativity that gets thrown onto these things, so that actually our kids, when they're being raised like that, are actually growing up with so much baggage and so many issues because of it. And I get to do something different with my child. I get to teach her that these all of these ways are that people are different, and that we get to choose how we want to exist in relationships and romantic relationships and friendships, and that we get to choose our identity, and we get to accept and embrace other people's identities, and those values are higher to me than just being like, this is this is different, so this is taboo, so this is wrong, or this is not monogamous, straight like relationship, so everything else needs to be hidden and in the shadows. No,
Mhm.
I think all of those things deserve places right up out in the open, normal, like not
Mhm.
weird, and just like yeah,
Accepted.
and yeah,
Accepted.
yeah,
And it's like should even be a thing that, like, even, like, forces the idea of it not being accepted. It's like what you're saying is basically it's just a part of life. Like, that's
just
just, like
normal life, like
it's
normal life. If no
just
one's getting hurt, if no one's,
Mhm,
if like physically hurt or their freedoms being taken away or like these
mhm,
things, like then if it's not actually harmful, then
mhm.
why are we making it harmful?
Exactly, and I everything you just said really warmed me because my mom was extremely is still extremely open with me. I
Wow.
now and now that I'm older, I mean, our conversations are hilarious. I mean, I know everything about her sex life.
Yeah.
And, like, she just like you, and I'm telling you right now, you're doing a perfect job at it because my mom did the same thing, and I am thriving because I was open. She de-shamified me. She supports me in everything that I do. She respects that I take safety and agency in everything that I do.
Mhm.
She told me about anatomy. Allowed me to do this when I explored my sexuality. She started me on a path of like, all right, time to go to the gynecologist. She really let me fees it out, make my mistakes too. She didn't like take control. She wasn't helicoptered over me. She let me figure it out on my own. She was there with me when I had my heart broken. She
Mhm.
kept it flowing. And now look what the fuck I'm doing. I am currently a sex advocate, going to be a sex coach, helping people build more openness with talking about that type of stuff.
Mhm.
So thank God for you
Mhm.
because honestly there needs to be more parental figures like yourself and my
Mhm.
mom
Yeah.
because if I
No, we're
wasn't
very lucky. We're very, very lucky. And I
yeah.
think as the generations, like as we continue on, that, there are more parents that are like, that are like us, that are like, hey, like, you know, this didn't
Mhm,
feel good growing up. Let's do something different. And in my case, there were other things that didn't feel good growing up that I get to change generationally. But like
yep.
what I don't have to change and what I get to expand on and like and give back to my daughter is all of that unconditional love and non-judgment and support that that I got. And as a parent, I'm teaching her that it's okay to come to me. It's
Mhm,
okay to come to me with the things that you think are gonna, I have that opportunity as a parent in that moment to show her that she's safe. She
yeah,
can come to me about anything. And I chose that over making her feel bad and shamed and guilty for
amazing.
being a normal, curious, healthy child that's
Yeah.
exploring new things in her body and,
Thank you so much for being that person.
yeah. Yeah.
Truthfully, and, you're gonna be that person when we're done with this program and helping other individuals de-shamify what was shamed when they were her age.
Mhm.
So, thank you. I literally I'm just amazed by how open you are, you have been on this podcast episode, and I really honestly think that you're gonna be able to change lives, and I know that's, like, super cliche or whatever, but honestly, like, you're going to be able to change lives with the way that you speak,
Mhm.
with the way that you feel, with the way that you parent, with the type of partner that you are. You're gonna do an amazing job as a sex coach and a sexologist. I just wanted to tell you that. I
Thank
think
you. I appreciate that because I know there's moments in that program where
yeah.
you're just like, "Ooh, like,
Oof.
am I gonna be a hack job? Like,
Yeah.
am I gonna make shit worse for people? Am I gonna be able to
To do
handle
this.
anything? Yeah, to do this." And
Mhm.
so there's, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then you know what? We're all in this together, seriously. I think, within this program, like I had said, sex ed is a building block. sex coaching is a building block.
Yeah, and I
We'll
love that you
figure it
said
out as
that,
we
and I
go.
wanted to say that earlier, but your choice of the words building block is so perfect. It's
Thank you.
absolutely like like foundational and
Mhm.
building blocks and
Yeah.
absolutely,
Thank you. So, before we kind of end this episode and, get your little sneaky links, what is one thing you would leave with viewers, um, if they, are going through something or they had a parent who wasn't, very accepting or they want to explore their sexuality, just one word of wisdom or something like that that you would want them to know.
yeah.
I
Gosh,
know,
there's
right?
probably so many, but if I had to pick one thing that I think would be like the most, I don't know, like impactful
Yeah.
right away, find your tribe.
Mm,
Like whoever you are, whatever you like, there's other people out there just like you. And finding your tribe is like, if you didn't get those things that you needed from your parents, like just have being surrounded by people who can be like, you know what, we feel the same way. And you know, ideally, if they're in a community where they're being open about it, they're also used to being like excited about it
yeah.
perhaps, or even maybe confused, but like still like let's figure this out, or whatever. But yeah, just find your tribe, because like you think you're weird until you find your tribe, and then you're like,
Wait.
or like no, and like embrace, and just embrace who you are, and no matter what that is, and like know that there are a lot of judgmental people out there. Obviously, we all know that, but know that like things are changing, and there are people out there like you, Natalie, like me, that like
Yeah.
are want to change things so that your people aren't experiencing so much shame and
Guilt.
stigma and judgment. And so we're working on it, and like
Well,
and the best way you can work on it with us is by like being vulnerable, embracing who you are, sharing that with other people, and
mhm.
sharing that so that like other people can find their tribe in you as well.
So if, somebody wanted to join your tribe, where could they find you?
um, I see what you did there.
Kinky?
um, you've done this before. Um, really just like, so, I'm going to be working in the next few months on creating like my like a website and my
Mhm.
space for coaching. But for right now, just my Instagram at Sparkmaster Amy is, where you could kind of join my journey, and,
Perfect.
where I'll start accepting practice coaching clients and discounted coaching clients. So, yeah, if you feel called to reach out to me there to get in on that sweet introductory deal for limited time offer. No, but even
Yeah.
if you can't, even if you just want to like whatever, see what
Right.
I'm doing, say what's
See
up,
what it's all about.
share your really weird thing that you don't feel like you could share to anyone else. Like drop
Mhm.
that in my DMs. Um,
Fill her DMs, people.
Tell me all of your weird shit so I can be like, cool.
Your DMs are gonna turn into a kink master, like
Yeah.
I
Confessions
love it.
of, yeah.
Thank you
So, yeah.
so, so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and
Yes,
I
I
will
did. I had
definitely
so
bring
much
you back
fun.
on.